Ever feel like confidence is this magical key? Like everyone else just like has it figured out. Like it's this superpower, right? And they're out there, nailing presentations, crushing their goals, all while like totally owning it.
It can definitely feel that way.
Right. But here's the thing, you're not far off. Turns out there's a ton of science behind how confidence works. And the coolest part, it's way more accessible than you might think.
Absolutely. We're going to break it all down, help you understand not just what confidence is, but how to actually build that, like, unshakable self-belief.
I am so here for this. So to kick things off, I dove into a mountain of research on confidence studies, insights, the whole shebang. And right off the bat, the thing that kind of blew my mind was this. How they actually define confidence. It's not just one thing, it's two.
It's true. It's this combo of, can I actually do this thing?
Yeah.
That's your efficacy expectation.
Okay, got it. Efficacy.
And then there's, will it even matter if I do? And that's your outcome expectation.
So it's like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. And you got to have both for that, true confidence to really take root.
Okay, so let's say I'm trying to, finally nail this whole healthy eating thing, right?
Right.
Can I resist that extra slice of cake? That's one hurdle.
Right.
But then there's, will this salad actually get me closer to my goals?
Yeah.
Is this all worth it? It's believing in yourself, but then also believing in the process, too.
You got it. And here's the really cool part. Researchers have actually watched how different combinations of these beliefs, literally light up our brains.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
When we believe in both, boom, motivation, action. It's like our brain is, firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
But if one of those is missing,
doubt creeps in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where those feelings of doubt, shame, even actual pain signals can start to fire.
Wow. Okay, my mind is officially blown. But let's unpack something I know trips a lot of people up, myself included, this whole self-esteem versus self-confidence thing.
Ah, yes, the classic confusion. They sound super similar, right?
Totally.
But here's the thing. This research is saying they're actually opposites. Self-esteem is all about looking back, asking yourself, am I generally worthy? Big picture stuff.
Okay.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Totally different. It's about future action. It's saying, can I achieve this specific thing?
So it's interesting, right? Because there's actually this study that found people with super high self-esteem, like they felt really good about themselves overall, but they actually donated less to charity.
Really? That's wild.
Yeah, and it's this thing called moral licensing. Because they already felt so good about themselves, they felt less of a need to actually prove it through their actions.
It's like, oh, I'm already a good person. I don't need to prove it by, doing good deeds.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about this whole thing, because it's like you can have all the self-esteem in the world,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that confidence to actually go after what you want, to take action, then what's it all for?
Exactly. It's like having a Ferrari, right? But never taking it out of the garage.
Yeah. Perfect analogy. But here's the million-dollar question. How do we bridge that gap? How do we take that self-esteem, that belief in ourselves, and turn it into that real, actionable confidence?
That's what we're about to dive into. Because here's the thing. Confidence isn't about being perfect, about having all the answers, or even about, never feeling afraid. It's about being willing to try, to stumble a little, and to keep growing.
I love that. It's like permission to be perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. And when we embrace that, that's when the real magic happens. And it makes me think about, those people who just radiate confidence,
Oh, totally. They walk into a room and it's like they just own it.
Right. We're like, okay, how do they do that? And yes, some of it might be, personality or whatever.
Right. Like some people are just born with that extra sparkle.
Exactly. But the research is really interesting here because it shows that a lot of it actually comes down to how we interpret our experiences, especially those early challenges we face.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about what happens to us, but how we choose to see it.
Exactly. You see, those who've kind of gone through the ringer, faced adversity head on,
Yeah.
they often develop this, incredible resilience and self-belief.
Because they've already overcome so much.
Exactly. They've stared down some of life's toughest challenges and come out stronger. And that can build this deep-seated confidence that they can handle pretty much anything.
It's like, bring it on, world. I've got this.
Exactly. But okay, so we've talked about how confidence isn't just this innate thing, right? It's something we can develop. But how do we actually tap into it when we need it most? Right before that big presentation or a job interview, when those nerves start creeping in.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to talk about confidence, but when you're in the hot seat, it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. So Experts have found that one of the keys is being laser focused on a specific, tangible goal.
Okay, so not just I want to be more confident, but something more concrete.
Exactly. When your mind is totally immersed in that doing, in the task at hand, that's when confidence naturally starts to bubble up.
So it's about shifting our focus away from those doubts, those what ifs, and on to the task at hand.
You got it. And it works on two levels. First, like you said, it gets your mind off those distractions, those worries, like that inner critic that's like, oh, what if you mess up?
Right, that little voice we all know and love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And second, the goal itself has to be something you can actually picture in your mind, like concrete, achievable, something you can visualize yourself working towards in that moment.
So not just I want to be a confident speaker, but something like, okay, during this presentation, I'm going to make eye contact with at least 5 people and clearly articulate my 3 main points.
Exactly. That kind of laser focus can make all the difference.
Love it. But what about those times when, even with a clear goal, the self-doubt just won't quit? You know, like that little voice is still chattering away in the back of your mind.
Oh, I've been there for sure. But here's a little secret weapon: the power of positive self-talk.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
You might be surprised to know that simply changing the words we use, even if we don't totally believe them at first, can hugely impact how we feel.
Really? So, like, just talking ourselves into feeling more confident.
Kind of.
Hmm.
There's this fascinating study where researchers had people repeat different phrases before a performance task.
Okay, like what kind of phrases?
One group had to say, I feel anxious, over and over.
Oh, I can already feel the anxiety creeping in just hearing that.
Right. The other group, they repeated, I feel excited.
I feel excited. Okay, that does have a slightly better ring to it.
Right. And guess what? The excited group, they totally crushed it.
No way! Just from changing their words.
Seriously. They significantly outperformed the group who focused on those anxious feelings. Turns out, even if we're not totally convinced at first, our brains are shockingly good at self-deception.
So, faking it till you make it actually has some scientific backing.
100%. When we act confidently, even if it's an act to begin with, we're more likely to achieve those positive outcomes, which then, in turn,
Boosts our confidence even more.
exactly, it creates this awesome upward spiral.
Okay, I am totally on board with this fake it till you make it approach. It's like we're tricking our brains into feeling more confident.
That's putting on a pair of rose-colored glasses,
I love that analogy.
They might distort reality a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what we need to just push past those doubts and go after what we want.
Totally. So confidence isn't just about feeling good. It's about setting those goals, taking action, and even faking it a little bit until we make it.
And it's a process, right?
Oh yeah, definitely a journey, not a destination. But okay, let's talk practical tips. How do we actually start building that confidence muscle? Where do we even begin? So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the science behind confidence, about the power of positive self-talk, even about, striking a power pose or two. But let's get down to brass tacks here. How do we actually start building that confidence muscle? What are the workouts for our self-belief?
Well, one technique might surprise you: self-affirmation.
Okay, like looking in the mirror and being like, you've got this kind of thing.
It can be that, but I'm thinking less about the cheesy motivational posters and more about the science behind it. Research has shown that when we consciously remind ourselves of our strengths and values, it actually changes how our brains operate, like literally rewires those neural pathways.
Whoa, seriously. It's like we're actually changing the physical structure of our brains just by thinking differently.
Exactly. And the research is super clear on this. When we focus on those positive aspects of ourselves, we become more adaptable, more resilient when those curveballs inevitably come our way.
So it's not about like denying our weaknesses or pretending we're perfect. It's about shifting our focus to what we're good at, those inner resources that can help us through those tough times.
You got it. It's like giving ourselves that internal pep talk, right? Reminding ourselves, hey, I've been through challenges before. I got the skills, the knowledge, the experience to handle this.
I love that. It's like having our own personal hype squad, but it's all internal.
Exactly. And that can make all the difference when those doubts start to creep in. So self-affirmation, that's a big one. Another thing, and we touched on this earlier, watch who you surround yourself with. Remember those hidden staircase people?
Oh, yeah. The ones who make everything look so effortless, like they just woke up one day and bam,
Yeah,
success.
exactly. And it's easy to fall into that comparison trap, right?
Totally. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't my journey as smooth as theirs?
Right. And it's not about like dismissing those who are killing it. It's more about remembering that everyone has their own path, their own challenges, and surrounding ourselves with people who are a bit more real, a bit more open about those struggles. That can do wonders for our own confidence.
It's like building that support system that gets it,
Exactly. Those cheerleaders who are there for those wins, big or small, but who also get it when you're feeling, a little less than confident, they're not there to judge. They're there to lift you up.
Love it. Out with the energy vampires, in with the cheer squad. Okay, so we've got self-affirmation, building our A-team. Any other confidence-boosting tips to add to the arsenal?
Remember we were talking about those high-power poses?
Oh, yeah. Like standing tall, shoulders back, channeling our inner superhero.
Exactly. It might sound kind of silly, but there's actually a ton of research behind it. Turns out, our body language isn't just about how others see us. It's about how we see ourselves, too.
So, like, if we stand confidently, even if we don't necessarily feel confident on the inside, our brains will start to catch up.
Precisely. Our minds are constantly looking for confirmation. And sometimes, all it takes is a little shift in our posture to trigger those feelings.
That is so cool. It's like we're sending these subliminal messages to our own brains just by changing how we hold ourselves. I'm definitely trying that one next time I need a confidence boost.
I'm telling you, it works. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but if there's one thing I want you to take away from all of this, it's that confidence isn't this, like, magical quality that some people are born with and others just, aren't. It's a skill.
It's like a muscle we can build.
Exactly. And like any muscle, it takes work. It takes practice. It takes consistency. But the more we work it, the stronger it gets.
I love that analogy. It's about recognizing those negative thought patterns, those doubts and insecurities, and consciously choosing a more empowering narrative.
100%. And the cool thing is, the more we do it, the easier it gets.
It's like we're rewiring our brains for confidence, one step at a time. This has been incredible. I don't know about you, but I am feeling so fired up and ready to, go out there and conquer the world.
Me too. It's just so much fun diving into all this with you.
Absolutely. And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this confidence deep dive. Remember, you are capable of amazing things. You've got this. We'll see you next time.